the things that helped me to be the person who I am right now. Because the work ethic, to understand that to get something in life, you have to work hard. And even if your dreams are really, really far away from you, if you work hard, you can get it. But you have to get up early in the morning. You have to do your stuff. You have to be persistent. You have commitment.
It's the Stylus League. Mike and B pitching the pen, making pictures ascend to the highest ring. The league. Raul running the scheme. Tune into the program and wide receive. Yeah, we dropping these seeds. Art over everything. Drive the dream.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another Stylus League interview. Today's a big one. Got a big one. I don't even want to tell you who it is. I don't think y'all are ready for this, but anybody who's ever seen me do a ZBrush Live knows I won't shut up about this gentleman. One of my sculpting heroes and a really, really nice dude. Bradley, should I bring you on before I say who it is? Come on in here. Come on in here. Don't show who it is yet. Okay, all right.
Hey, hi.
All right.
I'm the guest. Right. We're gonna find about my life story and my journey.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't tune in for that. No, we got Daniel Bel, you guys. We got Daniel Bel of Sideshow fame. You know who he is. Come on, don't even try it. You know who he is. Bradley, how excited am I?
This excited?
What's up, man?
What's up, guys?
What's up,
hello, everyone. I'm doing great, guys. Thank you for inviting me.
This is 2 years. We okay, when we first started our interview series, Mike started with, we should interview Daniel Bel. And we were like, yeah, we should do that.
Yep.
2 years later.
I'm sorry. Hey, it was my bad. My bad.
It's not you.
This man is the hardest working man in show business. He always is sculpting. You're like the Stephen King. You're like the Stephen King of the sculpting world.
I don't know. Maybe I'm working a lot, but I'm enjoying every single day. So, yeah. But it was my bad. I know that I can't remember if I canceled a couple of times, but I think we changed dates.
We're protecting you. You never canceled on us.
Okay. Never.
You never canceled.
Consummate professional. This man was always on time every time. Yeah. And we're just happy to have you right now, man.
It was Bradley. Yeah, all day.
Always default to Bradley. He's always the weak link in the chain.
I'm okay with that.
Not really. So, first of all, what time of day is it there? You're in Argentina, yes?
I'm in Argentina. Yeah, it is almost 4 p.m. right now. Okay. I think so. Yeah, it's I think we are 2 hours difference. With you guys?
I still don't understand that, because when I flew back from Argentina after having probably some of the best meat that I've ever had in the world with you that one night.
I remember though.
Dude, the flight seems like it's a 40-hour flight from Argentina back to DC. I don't know what was going on.
It takes a lot.
This is how bad it is. My wife now was telling me, I was like, so how long is the flight? And she goes, I don't want to tell you. I was like, what's that all about? So,
but you have too many stops, maybe, or do you have just one direct flight?
It was one layover, but it was like the longest flight ever. Anyway, who cares about me? They didn't come here to talk about me. They don't know. Yeah. Bradley, you want to kick us off with a question for our esteemed guest?
So this is a softball one, right? This is very, very simple, very easy question for you, Daniel.
Okay.
What was your first job, man? What did you do? But before you got into the art world, like what did you do? Like, who was Daniel Bel before Daniel Bel?
That was long time ago. My first job was I was selling health insurances and walking the streets and offering to people from a hospital. I don't know. I'm sure it works differently in the US, but here we had different clinics or hospitals, and those places have their own insurances. And I was the guy who was offering those insurance to people, and I was just working and knocking doors and say, "Hello, I'm from this place," and I was trying to sell that insurance, and it was an interesting job, and nothing related to what I do right now or what I was wanted to do. And then after that job, I was working with my dad. My dad is a welder. He does at that time he was doing some like ornament fences and I don't know how to say in English, but when you put fences in your houses, and in Argentina we use a lot of fences in the windows and in the perimeter of the houses with ornaments and all the stuff. So I was helping him to weld and work with iron and steel and all that stuff. I didn't like it either, but it was something that I had to do because, it was a hard time in 2000, 2001. In Argentina, we have a really, really huge economic problem that hit it really hard to everyone here in my country. And people started just doing jobs that they didn't like it, or trading stuff for food. And I was, helping my parents to avoid dying from starvation because it was a hard time. So I helped them and as best as I could, and I learned a couple of things from my dad and of course my mom too. But it was nothing related with computers or the stuff I do right now. I think mainly because I didn't know at that moment that I was looking for entering in the art, art stuff, art mediums. So it was totally different gigs. Nothing. It was long time ago, like more than 20 years ago. That I'm almost 40, so it was a long time ago.
I'm right there with you, but I'm sure all the watching how your dad, my dad was also like a manual laborer working offshore and stuff like that. But watching him get up and work helped build like a work ethic. It taught me two things. It taught me what I didn't want to do. And it also taught me what I needed to do to not do what I don't want to do. Right. So watching my dad go through hard times and working with his hands and laboring. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. Yeah. You're like, man, it's hard, but he still got up and he did it.
Yeah. I think that from my dad and my mom was exactly, the things that helped me to be the person who I am right now, because the work ethic, to understand that to get something in life, you have to work hard. And even if your dreams are really, really far away from you, if you work hard, you can get it. But you have to get up early in the morning. You have to do your stuff. You have to be persistent. You have commitment. And I think that even those jobs I didn't enjoy too much, it helped me a lot to become a better person, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can relate to that. So fast forward to you're working on welding beautiful fences and stuff like that with the ornate stuff and everything with your dad, to your very first sculpting job, because this is where I find it most interesting. Your body of work is crazy. It's so vast. And the other thing that I can relate to, coming from an illustration background, is you've been consistent all the way through, right? You can't put out a okay piece, or a piece that's not up to your normal standards, or else you're not going to continue to get work. So clearly you have been putting out a lot of top-notch work. How did you get your first job, and how did that lead you to becoming the artist that you are with Sideshow?
Um, that's a good question. I think it was a process, that comes with time. I started doing engineering stuff, then I jumped into architectural visualization, then into video games, then into advertising, and all that path helped me to rescue a couple things from every single field that I could understand that if I put the same things in the work that I really wanted to do it, I will become, someone else more than just, another sculptor, another digital artist. So when I started my first steps in the digital world, in the digital sculpting world, I knew that if I don't put heart and I don't put time studying and practicing, I was going to be like I said, just another mold, another one, and I didn't want that. I know that to have success in anything, you have to, do something extra. So I remember my first statue was a Beowulf, a character that was suggested for my wife. She was reading Beowulf, the poem, and she knew that I loved, the anatomy. I was started dealing with anatomy stuff, anatomy books, and all that stuff. And so she said, "Hey, Danny, why you don't just do this Beowulf character that is awesome, because it's a kind of fantasy character. It has anatomy, it has power. You can do it fighting with a creature, whatever." So that's what I did. I actually took a small picture frame from the book, which is like a doodle. It wasn't really an illustration, and I got inspired from that to make the Beowulf, and I put it in every single page in social media. It wasn't actually, Instagram didn't exist at that time. It was Facebook mostly, and 3D Total. ArtStation didn't exist. I can't remember. Maybe Cyber Central and another few more.
Society was another big one back in the day.
Yeah, CC Society, Evermotion. Even Evermotion was a good one too. Was more related to architectural visualization, but Evermotion posted they had something that really helped me. People voted at that time the most the stuff that they liked the most, and if you got to a lot of votes, they could highlight in the main page, and I was highlighted in the main page. So more people start seeing my work and asking for, "Hey, Danny, do you do commission works and all that stuff?" And that's exactly how I started. Not knowing that I could have a place in the sculpting world, because the 3D printing was kind of new at that time. Most of the companies and most of the people, even commissioners, was working with traditional artists, traditional sculptors, and they were kind of not sure about how the 3D printing was going to translate, if all those details and anything you do was going to translate good to the actual piece. The resin printer was kind of new at that time, and when you say and those days, when you mention 3D printing, people just started thinking the layering. When you see the visible layering, and it was really expensive to get some cool prints with quality. And I think I entered in the game in a moment that it was really good to be there, in the perfect moment. I was timing. I didn't. It was. I think that was luck, But as I always say, luck without preparation, it doesn't work, Right. So I think it was the combination of being lucky to be in the precise moment in where most of the people was working with traditional artists, and now they wanted to try with digital artists, digital sculptors. but at the same time, I was preparing myself for a couple, more than a year at that time, just studying every single day. I remember that I was working on I had a small company with some friends. We gave 3D support to other agencies and small studios, medium small studios of VFX staff and animation, all that stuff, advertising mostly. And after working, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 hours, I obviously rushed and I was just trying to realize how it works, doing some tutorials, and watching stuff about anatomy, and I think that maybe because I was younger, and I had the energy to do it, to keep me awake, long time. At night, I was I didn't have kids at that time. That helped me too, because now I don't think I can do that again. But yeah, I was younger. I had a lot of energy, and I knew that I wanted to become, someone else in terms of as an artist. When you're part of a big team. Like in the studio, in a big studio, for example, let's say video games or movie film industry, to be someone who really a big name in the industry, I think you need to have more qualities, more skills. I don't know, I don't know exactly what you need. But I just knew a bunch of people as an artist who, for example, if you see a movie, you don't know exactly who made that Iron Man suit or that, I don't know, Thanos face or whatever. You don't know the name. Probably you know if you know the guy, but people don't know. But when you work in the collectible industry and a piece come out, that piece will have your name on it, and that's different. And I wanted that, not because of the recognition of fame. I don't care, honestly, I don't care about that. But I knew that for my job, it would be better than the things that I was doing before, working really hard, trying to just highlight a little bit, and it was difficult. So I think that that motivation helped me to start to put more time on my first steps, and I think I deviate a little bit from your question, but I started from that point, in that moment.
Yeah.
So you're an enigma anyway. So anything that you give, it'll be amazing for everyone. So because I'm a great researcher, and I was looking at your CV and bringing out all your so you have experience in animation as well. So like does that animation background help play into what you're doing now from a statue perspective? And can you speak a little bit when you were like in the I would say in the production environment, it looks like you did it all from modeling and animation. So like, how was that? And, because I always, and I tell Mike and I tell people who ask, like, I think being a statue maker, like being able to sculpt all day to make something really cool is probably the Super Bowl where all character creators would like to be, or or the World Cup that everyone would like to be. So how did the journey through a production world help prepare you for that moment when you were able to put your name on a statue?
Good question. Well, as you know, nowadays I'm specialized in, let's say, anatomy and characters, expressive poses and all that stuff. But as you mentioned, animation, I don't know, to make background elements, because I did everything. In the 3D realm, I did everything. I don't think I don't know. I think, I did everything. I did robots, I did cars, I did stylized characters, I did everything. I'm not saying that I did everything good because it's not real, but I try because I had to do it. Even if it wasn't my choice, I had to do it because that's what clients wanted. But that helped me to develop an eye criteria for nowadays. Nowadays, I'm a art director at Sideshow. Besides, I'm a sculptor as well. So the art direction, I think it helped me a lot to get all this information through the years, all these experiences, because it helped me to develop a better eye to see stuff and detecting how I can make this better, because I can see sometimes people struggling when they send me some stuff to review it or to give some feedback. They struggle to see what I'm doing wrong and how I can make it better. Actually, the first question is even more important than the second one, because if you can't do something better if you don't know what's wrong, Yep. And I think, and I really believe that all these years working stuff that maybe I didn't like it, or didn't enjoy it as much, helped me to develop my, my criteria to become a better artist, to see how I can, even with my work, even nowadays. Nowadays, I can be sculpting something, and then after 2 days or 3 days or a week, I take a look again, and I see something that I didn't like, and I put some time to try to figure out what it is. And when I recognize what it is, I make it better. And how you make it better? Well, it's easy because you have so much information everywhere. Then that is not a problem, because let's say, for example, you said, oh yeah, I think I'm failing with, with the design of my suit or this mechanical part. How can I make it better? Well, you have tons of amazing artists out there, and they publish tutorials, they publish stuff, or even just taking a look to his work in ArtStation. You can deconstruct how they did it, and you can do it kind of the same. I'm not saying that you have to copy them. I'm just saying you have to get inspired by these guys and make that better. But if you can't recognize it before, that's a tricky part, But again, for example, animation help me to make my poses more elegant, believable, and push a little bit even more now that I work in this field with comics. That the comic world is something between realism and stylization, and I can push a little bit further my the poses. And I think that helped me when I was working with animations, because when you study out some animation, I remember that time I was really a huge fan of the anime style of animation, and they push really far all expression. Dragon Ball, Night of the Zodiac, most of the most popular animes. You can see how they stretch and how they push and how they, they play with the body, and it looks awesome. And if you can take you can take just a little bit of that and put it in your art, it was look even better, But yeah, every single thing I did, as I said, even if I didn't enjoy it as I'm enjoying right now working in the things I'm working, I can see that it helped me to develop, my criteria, most of it.
So I can.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry about that, man.
No, I was going to say I can definitely see the influence of both, animation, like anime, and the fact that you worked with animators in the past in your work. And it's interesting because I remember talking to you one time about a sculpt that you did that came out, and I thought it was amazing. A lot of people thought it was amazing. You were bummed out because people were kind of talking trash about the initial photos of it. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Daniel was, we were talking about his flash when they first showed it. And we'll show this piece in the second hour just so you can see it. But amazing piece. When they first took the photos of it it was one of the cons, right? It was like when they first
it was a con.
Yeah. And there's this motion to it where he's like elongated and his hands are out and everything. But when the guy took the photo, I guess it looked even more, kind of distorted
because they
than
took
normal.
the photo with a cell phone, and cell phone has these angular lenses, and it's obviously that is going to, enhance perspective.
So it almost did like a fisheye thing where it made it even more like crazy. But the thing of it was, the internet was brutal, man. Like so I'm Daniel's legitimately bummed out about the feedback, and I'm like, dude, do you know who you are? Like, are you kidding me right now? The people are gonna hate. Forget those guys. It's crazy. So then the piece comes out. We get to see the actual photos on Sideshow's page, and it's amazing. Like, he's running, and the ground is like whipping around him, and like all of this stuff. So the fact that it was so dynamic, Bradley and I have a friend in common who's an animator, this guy named Brad. And the one thing that he's been helping both of us with is really pushing the pose, right? So that's something that if you're not introduced to someone who's in that world, it's very easy you could sculpt the most amazing piece ever, but if it looks stiff or stagnant, then it's like, it's boring. And that's something I could never say about any of your pieces. Even the museum pieces have a very, the museum poses have a very kind of heroic pose, like the cap and all that stuff, Daredevil and all that. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up. Go ahead, Bradley. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was good. But one thing you highlighted, I want to make sure, like, because every person that we brought on has made this statement. Like, when you get into the creative space, you get into it thinking that you're most likely may be doing things that you like to do, but the reality is that you'll be doing probably 85% of the things that you don't want to do. and doing that, you should see it versus it being a negative. When you actually get to do what you want to do, you'll be that much stronger. Right. Like everyone, like, I can't tell you, like, a lot of people like spend like, I want to do creatures, so I'm going to make creatures. What if that creature needs to have like a hybrid where it's armor and organic, or, like you have to be able to diversify what you're doing to mix it up. I know Mike gives us advice. I also give this advice, when you do your CV or your resume, you got to focus on what you want to do as a career, but you have to think about, like, there's other pieces to that than the organic piece. Like, if you want to make characters, there's stylized and there's hyper realism, but it's not just like the characters, it's the whole piece of it. And looking at your work, it looks like you have mastered or continue to develop all aspects of a character. And I want to know what's your favorite part outside of the organic, like the muscle, the anatomy part. Like, do you like making boots? Do you like making weapons? Like, what's your other favorite part outside of the organic piece?
Well, I think the part that I enjoy the most is the sketching part. I love that. I love, the initial weeks of every single project, I enjoyed so much because it's a moment in where I'm looking for information about characters that maybe I don't know too much, and I have to know them because I'm portraying them and I'm trying to get that character from the comics to the real world. And to people who love it, or maybe to people who they don't know that character, and they are going to know it because of this statue, So I put a lot of brain there, and a lot of time, and sketching, and making the first mock-ups, the first sketch. It's really, really fun because I can do it quickly. I don't care much about the anatomy. I don't care too much about details and stuff like that, and I do a bunch of poses and do a bunch of stuff, and I'm playing. I'm playing with clay, and I really enjoy that because I'm not being worried about any kind of deformations or anything. I mean, when you are developing all these details and textures, you have to be very sure that you're not moving anything. You're not, making any mistakes with the scales or whatever. It's a more fine work, but the sketching part, you don't care about that. You're just free. And I enjoy that a lot. Then when I moved to the, let's say, the detail or more the design part, design stage, yes, I do enjoy designing boots and gauntlets and helmets and the full suit, the outfits. Even if I don't consider myself as a great designer, as all the people that I know, they are like a natural designers. I enjoy learning from others, seeing what they do, and taking inspiration from every place and trying to put in my designs. And time to time I take some challenges because I don't want to be at that plateau moment in where you do all the same. I mean, make characters that you can do a lot of them and will be different, but it's kind of the same anatomy. It doesn't have any, let's say, you can make it bigger or smaller, thinner, or more athletic, or more or older, whatever. So I decided to take some female characters that I'm going to release in a couple months, I think, and that helped me a lot to, I go back to the books again. I was it was kind of fun because since couple years ago I wasn't really taking a look to the books. I was more like working as from memory, from what I remember when I was studying anatomy. And when I changed to female, I felt like I did not know nothing about anatomy. I had to do it all again. And it was kind of fun. And I enjoy that part again. So time to time to take challenges, for other people, it's not a big challenge. Just it's a female, it's a different, but it's the subtleties. Yeah, the subtleties that female characters should have are pretty interesting. You can make. I'm still making comic characters, even with the females. So they need to have some musculature, but not too much because it looks like a bodybuilder. So you don't have to go there, but it should be in the realm of like a fitness, but not too sexualized. So it is a blurry, line, and I love to just do some research and exploration in that realm. So I think even if I don't enjoy, for example, making inorganic modeling, for example, robots and all that stuff, I enjoy it when I have to put some hard surface stuff on my statues, because I'm every single year a new techniques comes out, like from these new tools of ZBrush, or because this guy just find out this is the best way to do it, and I love that too. That our profession, it's evolving every single year. Thanks to ZBrush, thanks to the our community or whatever, but it never. I don't think it's the same. It's changing. I don't know, morphing into something new time to time. So it's kind of interesting, that part.
So I remember that Beowulf piece you were talking about. Like, how long ago was that? Do you remember when you finished that?
I'm sorry, could you say it again? I just coughed. I didn't hear you.
Oh, no worries. The Beowulf piece you said was really your first sculpt.
Yeah.
Like, how long ago was that? Do you remember?
Like 10 years ago, maybe, I think.
So 10 years ago. How long had you been using ZBrush at that point?
Using ZBrush as a daily software, about that time, like a 10 or 8 years ago. And before that, I was using ZBrush as a part of my toolbox, not every day, and time to time when I have to do some details or kind of crazy stuff, I went to ZBrush. But now is the only software I use since a couple of years from now. Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is kind of establish a timeline of how you go from kind of casual use with ZBrush and that Beowulf piece being around 10 years ago to now art director at Sideshow, and doing not only your own pieces but also obviously directing other people's pieces. And the reason that I bring this up is because Bradley and I had a conversation yesterday about just art directing and being able to, art directors, creative directors, the more responsibility you have kind of overseeing and helping other artists, the less time you have to work on your own stuff. But it's not like that with you. It's weird because you're doing that, but you're also putting out a lot of your own work, which I don't really fully understand. And while it's amazing to me and I love all the pieces you put out, I'm also kind of mad at you because I went to Sideshow and I was like, hey, you guys let me do, like I did the ODB and the Maul and Ahsoka and everything, and I'm like, I love that stuff, but I want to do a superhero. Can I do a superhero? And they're like, listen, we would love to give you a superhero. The fact of the matter is, Danny and Martine are doing all the superheroes. They're doing all the superheroes. And I'm like, come on, bro, you like all the superheroes? And they're like, yes, all of them. And at first I was like, that's bullshit. And then I was walking through the looking at the top secret part, looking at the stuff.
Yeah. And
I kind of knew, I saw the stuff that you had coming out, but I'm seeing other stuff that wasn't even spoken about. And I'm like, damn, they're doing all the superheroes. So hats off for that, but also still a little mad. But anyway, how do you have time to do all that stuff, I guess is the question.
Well, I think it's my work as a sculptor is my primary work, and then the art direction is kind of something I do when someone need guidance, or I have to take care of some other project that is not coming well, and I just put my nose there when someone just called me, and I always try to guide instead of direct, so art direction, I think is the word is kind of, to me, it's not direct, people. I just guide I just point, I think I think this could be why you don't try to make this happen instead of this, and because I don't like the idea to if I do the things as I would do it, it will be my piece, it will be my sign on it, and no the other artist's sign, and I don't like that. Because when I'm directing I direct my own pieces with the help of course, with Tom, the owner, the creative chief. But at the same time, it's a very collaborative work, because many people are involved in this project, and they give you a lot of space to be creative, to take decisions, but you never feel like you are just alone, or you give or just leave alone other people working. No, it is very like a teamwork based.
Yeah, collaborative.
Collaborate. Yeah, exactly. So I never feel like I'm directing or giving orders or even receiving orders, which is kind of weird, because when you work in a big company, you have people on top of you that probably is going to tell you what you have to do. Well, in this place, it's not working like that. I don't know. It's kind of magic thing. That's what I love so much working at Sideshow, because I'm working every single day, sometimes not knowing what I have to do, because I will find out. I love that exploration, or let's say that I don't have any really direct orders. Hey, Danny, you have to do this in this way. No. Yeah. And that freedom, I think it makes us to, or give us the chance to make the products or the statues we do, and the people like it. And when people see our statues in comparison with other pieces, they can tell what Sideshow piece is. And maybe because of the freedom, maybe because of the time we put on it. And if I have, let's say, for example, that I'm finishing something right now, and next week I'm not sure about what I did, they will give me the time to redo it again, So I think we are always thinking in quality more than, rather than just a quantity. And that's why I can do a lot of stuff at the same time, because I'm not compressed with I'm not, let's say, I can, if I can do it today, I will do it tomorrow. I don't have that pressure on my shoulders, that deadline. We have deadlines, of course, but they're flexible deadlines. It's not like, if it's not finished today, you're fired, or you will be in trouble. No, it's not like that. So I think thanks to that, help us to, art direct, or do your stuff, or help others, or jump into a project, in different projects, and I don't know. I think that's why I enjoyed this work so much.
If I would like. So I've learned so much in understanding your thought process, because when it takes a good leader, a good person to want, like when you have the title director and things like that, you've instead of allowing that to be like, I'm going to like jump in and take the wheel, you've turned into like more of a Sherpa or a guide to help people. And I think when doing that, like, it kind of helps people that are working with you enjoy working with you, because I haven't worked with you, so it sounds like you're a great person to work with. But what I want also to come through with your understanding, with your background, with your family, is that like Sideshow is a job that you do, and everything that we see that from your artwork is like, that's who Daniel Bel is. You just so happen to occupy a Sideshow space. Right. And I think that's really cool, because like you can be working somewhere, it can go to your head. You could like take the attention, but you as a person you're grounded. And I love that I've just learned that about you, with just understanding of how you're working with people. So that's awesome.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think it helps a lot to understand how you have to do your work. Probably, I'm not saying that in every single field, art directors or people on top of you, some of, I don't know, I will not talk about something that I don't have experience. Probably sometimes you have to need someone who really tells you what you have to do. I'm sure it works in different fields differently.
Some people need it, and some people need, and
some people need it.
Like,
it's not bad.
Yeah,
exactly. I have some friends, colleagues, that they need more than guidance. They need to know what I have to do. But what I try to not teach them, because I'm not a professor, but I'm just tell them that it is fine at the beginning, but you don't need to get used to that, because if not, you always be depending from others that tells you what you have to do in order. This is a way. Okay, I will try. And probably if you fail, it's okay. You can try it again. Nothing will happen. It's part of the process to fail and try and do it again, and understanding where are you failing, why are you failing, and how you can solve that issue so you can keep moving, And if you, I know in some places they punish that. They don't want people who are, they just love artists who do their work straight, they started and they finished super fast. I remember those speed sculpts that people say, I did this in 30 minutes, in an hour. And I always thought, why you don't take a day, maybe it will look better.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, who is running with a clock in your back and saying, "Hey, you have to do it in 40 minutes"? And I know that when I was working advertising and gaming industry, I'm not saying that everyone is like that, but in my experience, yes, you have the clock in front of your eyes, and you need to follow the directions, and you have to finish it by yesterday, you know, and that was really stressing. That was the most stressing times of my life, but I learned a lot. I really learned a lot. I learned to not go back again. That's why I'm trying to do my job as best as I can, and but at the same time, I learned that you don't have to run. You don't have to rush, because when you rush, you fail more than when you're not doing rushing. You know, when you're not just trying to pursuing the clock.
You're in a very unique space right now. Like the fact that you're at a company that can they can appreciate that the creative process isn't the same for everyone, and the time it takes it varies from artist to artist. So that's great. But as far as you're concerned with your own personal work, you've gotten to a mastery of it that now you don't have people saying they don't over direct you. They're like, "Hey, listen, Daniel, I want you to do Bane and just make it dope." Right? Like that's the best compliment ever. You know, I'm not there with 3D, but with 2D, I now, when I work with a Netflix or whatever, they're like, okay, here's who the client is, here's what the movie is, and just make it dope. And they leave me alone, right? Which for artists who are starting out, who, you know, need the direction, or maybe they feel like they don't need the direction, like I got this or whatever, right? But they're being heavily directed. Like Bradley works for a video game company, and I'm sure there are a lot of artists that need to be reined in, you know, and have to be kind of given their you know, taught about time management, and also kind of pushed in a direction that's the overall vision for the game or whatever, right? But when you get out of that, I think that's the most amazing space to be in, when they're just like, okay, look, I know what you do. I've seen you do it before. You're so consistent that I don't even have to worry about Daniel Bel. Like, just here's the character, make him dope, and that's it. And you come back and you show it to them, and it's probably like 1,000 times better than they even could ask for. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's it's a testament to your ethic and also your need to push your boundaries to become better than your last piece, right? That's what I teach all my students. It doesn't matter how good my last piece was if my next piece isn't equally that good or better, you know?
Yeah. That's the most difficult part of being an artist, you know, that you have to make your next piece better than the last one. And a couple times, even right now, sometimes when I'm doing something in particular, I'm doing it and I'm taking, I look back to some of my older pieces and I say, I think I did it better before. Why? And then I go back again. I just take a look to all these older works, and it is weird, you know, because sometimes we put pressures in our shoulders. That pressure, you know, that, oh, this piece needs to be better. You have to keep raising the bar, because if not, other people will take your job. And those ghosts that sometimes it just are there, you know. And I think, as you mentioned before, if more clients, if more companies will give you that space to make stuff cool rather than being over-directed, more of the stuff that we are seeing nowadays, like movies, video games, or even the statues or whatever, will be better, because you're not over-directing stuff, you know. We can see it with, I love video games, you know, and I'm seeing plenty of stuff that I'm sure if they will give the space to artists or maybe creators to make what they know how to do, the result will be better, you know. But I think it's part of our history as a human beings. We love to. Some people, they love to be on top and point to where to go and over direct instead of just giving the space to be creative and try. And if they fail, let's try again. But failing nowadays is something that is not acceptable because it costs money, it costs time, and there is too much competition to give space to others to, to be on top of you. But it's part of this market, I think.
I did want to ask you, because I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, but I wanted to ask you, I know a lot of amazing sculptors who have just, since this whole economy has turned, have really been having a hard time, right? And I'm kind of one of those people that it hasn't been the best, year with illustration and even sculpting, because a lot of my regulars, Hasbro, Mattel, those guys, they kind of are they're outsourcing work overseas. And so I'm trying to reinvent some of the stuff that I'm doing. And I see other people who I'm just like, I cannot believe that you're not getting work. And it's because the big companies, the Sideshows and XMs and Prime ones, like those guys are cutting down the number of SKUs of statues that they're coming out with per year, and only certain people can get it. So have you seen that firsthand? And I know that your job is safe with Sideshow, but do you know any other artists that have been affected by that? And what kind of advice would you give somebody who might be going through that right now?
Yes, I heard a couple of friends talking about that. And I think that sometimes we get in this comfortable place in where we think we are safe. As you just mentioned, I never think that I'm safe. I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to lose my job tomorrow. No. That's another. It's the opposite. But feeling safe, too safe, I don't think is healthy, because it makes you. It makes you just be too much to keep doing what you do all the time and not reinventing yourself time to time, and not putting too much effort on keep studying, keep practicing, or just try to push your boundaries. And I'm not saying that it happens in every case, but I think it's a most common problem we all artists sometimes we face. It is, I'm doing great. I'm getting this rise. I'm getting this new opportunity on this new job. I'm going to work a little bit less and because I'm safe right now. I think that's the worst choice you can make. You don't need to be worried all the time. Actually, you don't need to be worried, but you have to be. You need to know that you have to keep practicing. You have to keep studying. You have to keep polishing your abilities, because there's always room for improvement. And as you can see, if you open our station, every single day you see a new artist that I never heard about it, that comes out with amazing artwork. And and that people is going to probably, I will not say it will take your job, but probably will take your job if you don't care about what you're doing. And the only weapon you have, it is keep pushing yourself to become a better artist, or better. It's not, sometimes it's not just about art. It is, in the case of the place I'm working, and probably it happens the same with you, being a good teammate, know how to receive feedback. I don't know, try to help in other projects, even if they're not asking for help. Maybe you can. It is. I think it's a combination of skills that it makes you a good artist. Not just your art. It is what you can do with your person, what you can offer, besides your capabilities as an artist. I think it's a combination of stuff. Sometimes we hired, or I worked with people, amazing talented artists, that I don't want to work again with them anymore, because it was painful. They don't like to receive feedback. They think they know everything, or they think they're better than you because they have more experience. And I work with other people, not as talented as them, but really easy to work with them, And I would recommend it all the time, because I think it's the things we do, it will have a better result if the environment in where you're working, it is nice, it's breathable, it is something that you enjoy working with your teammate. So I would recommend to not just aim on making better your art. It is trying to polish every part of your toolbox, every part of what you can offer. That will make you a more interesting artist than just, I can make this hair better than the last time. It's, I can make clothes better. No, it's not only that. It is a bunch of things at the same time.
I can say from feedback that I've gotten in my life experience and things like that, it is far better to be on your way to being like a good to really good artist, but it have really good interpersonal social skills, because like if you are like, and I think what happens is when you're the negative side of always being locked into only doing the artwork and developing the skill part, you lose out on the interaction and being able to work with people. And you believe that the thing that you are like sure, it'll get you in the door, but if you can't work with the next person aside of you, that door will be slammed on you, and they'll easily take someone that, because you know what happens, like when you're starting, when you're starting an art project or you're starting a project, like the people who are managing project, the first thing they'll say is like, we need to get talented people in, we need to get someone who has to do it. But the moment you get those high talented people in and you realize that their talent and prima donnas, it quickly turns into, we need to get someone here we can work with.
Right.
So
100%. And actually another thing that I realized when I started working with American companies, and actually when I was at the US for the first time, I remember that people asked me, "Hey, Danny, why do you think that American companies or European companies are working with Latin American people? Why do you think it is?" It's because it's more, every single year you will see on the top of the companies, Brazilian people, Argentinian people, I don't know, from any other part of Latin America. And I think it's because we are not better. I'm not going to say that, but all the issues we have as a society in this part of the world, in terms of economy, in terms of whatever we have, the issues we have, we are facing these issues since years and years and years, since I was a kid. For example, maybe in the US right now, I'm not talking about politics, I don't know nothing about politics, but maybe you are facing a little bit of inflation and you're kind of mad, We live with inflation, a huge rate of inflation since years. Yeah. And we don't know, for example, how much a liter of milk is going to cost tomorrow. We don't know. And we get used to that, unfortunately. And we started getting some tools in order to survive to that. We don't do just one thing. We have to learn to do multiple things. And what I learned when I started working with American companies, it is, you're amazing working in something specific. You have people for every single task. That's wonderful. But sometimes when you have one people, they can do just one thing and not multiple stuff. And I don't like to do multiple stuff, because you're not going to do or be very good at everything. You can't, but it helps when you have to solve problems, because you know how to solve this issue. Oh, I have to make a texture. I'm not a texture guy. I can do texture too. I'm not as good as you probably, but I can do it. I can solve it. If you learn how to solve problems, you can develop one skill very good, very, very good. But at the same time, you could learn how to solve other issues at the same time. So you're going to be more valuable than other artists that maybe are very good doing very specific stuff, So that helped me a lot in this work. Diversify, 100%.
Daniel, I would just have one word to respond to that. Murica. So
he doesn't speak for all of us, but I will tell you, and Mike will even attest to this. Like for those who work in America, who have learned to be thriving and successful, we've learned that lesson, right? Like that is a lesson that you have to. But I think one thing you mentioned, but didn't go fully in, is that through those life diversities and adversities and things like that in your country, you still have become like you're still good to work with, right? You didn't allow life to create an entitled or negative approach. Like you've learned to take, you've taken a licking, but you can still smile and like work with people. And I think sometimes like in the States, we'll sometimes take personal to work, and or we don't know. You can have personal issues but still be a welcoming person to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
sometimes you have to go through those things in order to like Daniel is probably the person he is because of those things, not despite those things. You know what I mean? Correct. So I think that's probably it. But yeah, absolutely. I see now it's an hour in. Before we get to the art part, right, which is what everybody's been waiting on, I have to tell a Daniel Bel story, and then we can move on to the art part. So this is how great of a guy he is. I reached out to Daniel. How long ago? Your daughter was just a baby at the time, right? You just
it was a baby. My first daughter. So at least 7 years ago. Probably.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I didn't know. So I had been a giant Daniel Bel fan. Everybody knows. And I was like, okay, I have an opportunity to go all over South America for Wacom and do a little speaking thing. And when I found out I was going to be in Argentina, I said, I was like, oh crap, Daniel's there. Let me reach out and see if he wants to come to the little presentation thing, the talk, and see if he can come. He just had a baby, and left to drive, I think, an hour to get to where we were.
An hour.
Was it drove an hour to come hear me blather on the stage for I don't know how long it was, and then go hang out with the Wacom guys at this loud club and have some of the most amazing like beef and stuff I've ever had, right? We're like hanging out. And I had not met Daniel before. This is the kind of dude he is. Like, I just was like, yo, big fan, just wanted to know if you wanted to come out. He came out, and I took my Captain America shield from your statue. I brought this thing in my bag all the way to Argentina, and he signed the thing for me. And it was like, dude, this was like, Bradley always tells me, don't meet your heroes. And I can see why he would say that, because at one point I was a hero to Bradley, and I've been nothing but a jerk to him ever since he met me. But that being said, you were not a jerk to me, sir. You were a gentleman and a very good guy. And so I just wanted to let people know the kind of guy that you are. When we were talking, you said you were moving to LA. So I'm kind of surprised that you're still in Argentina. What brought that decision about?
Well, it was it was a pandemic. We had almost everything ready, and then the pandemic just hit, and we have to stay. And I think that fortunately we didn't go, and I want to say why we stay here. And the only reason it is because we understood the family worth more than the working opportunities, And I have 2 kids. I have a wonderful relationship with my mom and dad and my brother. Same with my family's wife. And we understood that if we moved to another place, we were going to, change or just modify that opportunity for my kids to see the grandpas and live or have all these experiences we have every single day, be dining, have a dinner together, going to the park or whatever, almost every single day. So I think that was why. And I think the pandemic helped to understand how important it is to be close when you need it, because we were separated. And I had friends who couldn't see or couldn't spend the last time with their mom and dad or some ill person or whatever. So, I love the US. I love it so much. But I think that my decision or our decision as a family was based on the people who love more than just the working opportunities we can have. And that's why we decided to stay here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel.
That's amazing.
Oh man,
Mr.
I recognize that frame.
Mr. Bell, everybody was thinking the Sideshow. They're thinking all that other stuff. But I'm thinking about your 2012 demo reel.
This is embarrassing.
I'm thinking this great. So to be clear, you did everything in this. You did the modeling, you did the rendering, you did the texturing, correct?
Yeah, it was like collaborative work, of course, with all the people. But yeah, that was part. Actually, I have like 2 more demo reels of that. I don't know. The other day I was trying to find them, and I think I had it in Dropbox, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, I have one. I think one is from 2014, and the other one is older than this one. But yeah, it is. This was the stuff I was doing at that time. And some stuff are pretty good. Some stuff are pretty ugly. I would say most of the stuff are pretty ugly.
No, this is cool, man. What did you render this in? What is this? Maya or Max?
No, it's 3ds Max and B-Ray. Most of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And sometimes in cinema.
Statues, but this too is the beginning.
Oh yeah. I love that at that time I was in charge mostly about the lighting and the mood and look, and I really enjoy playing with lights. But at that time, maybe the young generation, they don't know, the younger generation, but we have to wait a lot to get a render. A lot. Yeah. And now we have RT, real-time rendering, that you don't have to wait nothing. And it's really frustrating thinking all the hours I spent just to see how it looked. But yeah, it pays off, I think.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome. Because, when we were talking about like being able to have like multiple skills and experiences, like I just want to demonstrate all the work and all the things that you did before you became the Daniel Bel that we all know and love.
So I'm going to tell you on this page, this has caused, well, it caused a lot of problems in my former life, in my former I'm remarried now. In another time, I used to have arguments all the time over you, sir. So
I was the one I caused to that issue in your life.
You didn't help.
No. I would never put that on you. None of that. That was so far beyond your reach, but it didn't help. Did not help.
Okay.
But it's crazy though. No, but what I was really going to say is just picking out which statue to get was always a problem. And I went with, I have that cap in the middle and I have your Colossus. And I went with the Colossus over the Dark Knight, even though I kept flip-flopping back and forth because I saw that one at Sideshow. Yeah, so a whole lot of, it's too much, man. It's too much. too much. Calm down, I think is what I'm trying to say. Let's start with that flash I was talking about so people can see what I was talking about. Like just the dude, it feels so much like he's moving when he's standing still. So I think it's a testament to.
Yeah, I remember the first image. You know, when you work on something for so many months and then you wait for production to end and the piece is out, the only thing you want it is that people see the statue in the best way as possible. But this one was released through a couple pictures of a cell phone of someone who was at the con the night before the show started, and it was the worst pictures ever. That, you know, really close to the statue with a cell phone in the angular lenses, and people were saying, "Oh, why the foot looks so tiny and the head so big?" And I was trying to explain what is called perspective, you know, to people. And then I realized that what I'm doing this, actually a couple friends reached me out and said, "Danny, you don't have to explain this. Just let them, I don't know, they say what they want." And thanks to this piece, and a Silver Surfer was really polemic too, I've learned how to deal with the negative comments about, not negative, let's say destructive comments, because you can have, and it's healthy to have negative and good ones and bad ones, because you learn from people's tastes and their choices, and if they don't like something, it is good you to know as a creator to see what people like, to see what people don't like. But when someone is trying to destroy because of the sake of hate, it doesn't help us to at any level, you know. And it was a difficult process to learn how to deal with that. But I've learned, and I'm feel better every single time that a piece is released, and some people that they don't like Sideshow or whatever. Another thing I learned, it is the bigger is the company, the bigger is going to hit you, because you are more in the aim of everyone, you know. The smaller, I'm seeing stuff from smaller companies and no one is saying anything. Even if the piece is the worst thing I've seen, no one is saying anything. And something from us comes out, and some people, I'm not saying all of them because it's not real, but some kind of minority is going to come out to destroy your art, and it's fine. I think it's part of the game, but for artists,
I can't release things to Mike because he'll destroy me. That's why I don't show him.
No, he's never allowed to say anything negative to me about my stuff ever. I'm very fragile. No, the thing that I like about the story, though, Daniel, is that you, other artists and younger artists are very, like, their art. Their art is like their heart on their sleeve, right? It's very personal to them, and they're very exposed at all times. And the least little bit of negative feedback can drive somebody out of the business. I've seen it happen, right? So the fact that somebody like you, who's risen to the level you have with the number of pieces you have and everything, and like this piece is just undeniably dope. Like, I don't care how bad the cell phone picture is. Like, this is a badass piece. When I talked to you, like, he was distraught, Bradley, and I'm like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this piece is amazing. But I could see after putting all these hours into it, like, I love that every angle is very dynamic, right? Even the back there is dope. But I wanted to ask you. So I watched your shoe tutorial on YouTube. The YouTube live stream that you did. Yeah. Yep. And I was trying to use panel loops the way you use them to do like breakouts in the uniform with the different panels and stuff. I have still not been able to get it to work the way that you do. And I think it's because I couldn't understand the words that were coming out of your mouth. But still,
or maybe
like,
his ability, whichever one of the two.
I mean, dude, look, I'm not going to say mine's going to be as good, but I can usually figure out how to do something when somebody's telling me how to do it. But yeah, no, it's amazing to me that you're able to get these like these the seams and the different like piping and stuff the way that you have it there. Like it's
Yeah,
very cool.
you know why I think it works good for me, because I was trying to avoid so much rhythmology. I hate rhythmology so much, and you know, I've worked for so many years with box modeling and smooth and tensions, and I hated that so much that when I find out that I could have some shortcuts and avoid that technical part using group loops, panel loops, and all that stuff I usually do, I was so happy that I tried to master that technique as much as I can, and that's why it works more for me than for others, because sometimes people say, I'm going to just use retopology and that's it. And actually, I'm still having a couple of friends who it is the same as you said. It is I can't do it as the way as you do, not because I'm kind of special, whatever. It's because they have other tools and they are not patient. They don't have patience enough to get used to that process, which is understandable, and that's more than fine. But yeah, I think I'm trying every single time to use ZBrush as much as I can and not go out and not use even C modeler, just for a couple stuff, using C modeler. And now, and since the knife tool just comes out, the knife, that's magic to me. Knife and a couple options. The only thing that I wish someday ZBrush do better is the zero measure, that works just a little bit better in some cases. Sometimes it's like, oh, dude, come on, this is so simple. Why you can't give me a more organic mesh? But I can't complain with all the other stuff that works really, really well.
Isn't it funny how sometimes it'll be flawless? I'm sorry, Bradley. I was just going to say, like, sometimes it could be the most complicated thing, and if you break out the different polygroups, it's like it's perfect. And then other times on something you would think, oh, this is going to be a no-brainer, like you're talking about, it doesn't work.
The other day, I was making a cape, and I was trying so many different combinations of breaking in polygroups and do all the things I know. And it didn't work. I had to invent another process to that part, and I was a little bit frustrating. But yeah, it's one day we're not going to have that issue anymore, I hope.
One thing I was going to reference that you mentioned yesterday, and when I'm looking at it's amazing how much of the final sculpt you actually had in your sketching process of sketching it out. Like you had it looks like you had a good bit of it figured out in your sketch when I look at it. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, probably this is one of the cases. Sometimes it's not like that, because now, for example, at this time, at the moment that I was doing this statue, the average time for me was 2 months, 2 months and a half. And now I'm taking 3 months and 3 months and a half. And the reason why it is because I'm not getting, not to the result, I'm not getting, let's say, I'm not happy with the results. So I'm changing again and again. Even if let's say, for example, I'm seeing this piece right now, and I could change so many things that at that moment I didn't see it. In terms of anatomy, in terms of motion, in terms of proportions or whatever. But that's part of the job. That's part of to have more time and develop your eye even a bit better. So what I do right now, it is I always I try to solve everything in my sketches. But I leave some space to that if I'm not 100% sure in a more advanced stage, I will go back. And I don't care how much time I'm losing, because what I care it is to bring the best of me, because then probably the collectionists or the people who are not artists, they don't kind of see it, but they see it. It is, they don't know what it is, what make it good, but they can recognize when something is better than other things, and that's why I'm putting much time.
Hey, Bradley, can you go to Cap real quick?
Yep.
Do you ever get into your head on a piece, Daniel, where you're just too close to it and you find that you're taking longer than it should take because for whatever reason you're saying you're not feeling it yet, you're not happy with it? You ever get that on a piece?
Yeah. I usually I didn't rail every single time. It is. I think I'm pushing myself sometimes. Sometimes I push myself too much, and if I go back, for example, Captain America is a good example. It was the first sideshow I did for Sideshow, and again, I'm seeing stuff that I can do it better right now. But at that time, I think I solved stuff faster than now. I think I'm become more a complex artist in terms of how my brain works. I don't like that, but the results are better. So it's like opposite feelings, I think I enjoy more the process. For example, when I started working if you go down a little bit, Bradley, go down, you're going to see more. When you see some, for example, like these parts are almost finished, and my issue right now it is if I see these, I would like to try a different version, even if it's finished, and then I'm not wasting, I'm investing a lot of time, and maybe I go back again and say no, this one was okay because I have to see it. Sometimes I can picture in my mind, as probably as you do as well. But until you don't see it, you're not being really able to understand. Actually, for example, I print my stuff now, and every single time I print them, I realize the proportions are off. The head, for example, in ZBrush, it doesn't display exactly the same as you're going to see it in real person. The head is always or tiny or too big, and I can't see it in ZBrush until I print it. So every single process I'm adding right now, it makes my job, I think, a little bit better, but at the same time less enjoyable in terms of how many runs I have to do to get to the place I want. But I think it's part of.
On this particular piece, did you sketch this out yourself, or did you get concept art on this guy?
I had a concept, but every single concept we have are very loose. We don't have concept for, let's say, for example, like a model sheets. We don't have that. Go on. The
reason I wanted to ask you is like the hard surface call outs you have are very. Like they're very thought out. Like I'm even looking at the boot. This is the reason why this is one of my favorite pieces. Like I'm looking at the sole on the boot and the details you have going on. It looks like something that could exist, and it just even this is one of those things where I saw you do the panel loop type stuff. It was either this or Daredevil. I can't remember which one. But I don't know how it works for you, because like when I do those type of panel loop pieces, I can't maintain a crisp edge. Like everything goes from looking like a 90 degree to being like an arc, like it's all rounded and stuff. So
Oh, you want him to do a demo right now? Is that what you want?
Yes, that's what I want you to stop everything. Stop everything.
You want to do a demo?
Show me how to be you. I want to know how to be you in English. How do I do
that?
No, it was funny, because I remember when I was called by Sideshow, and then they tell me, "Hey, Daniel, what about making this Captain America?" It was a loose sketch, and I like it. And I said, yeah, of course. I always say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And at that time, I said, what I'm going to do. I don't know how to sculpt inorganic stuff, like hard surface. I mean, I did a couple things at that time, but I wasn't really, I didn't want to go to 3ds Max and do it there because it took a lot. And even I wasn't really good at that time to make, for example, one thing is to make a car, that the car you make it with blueprints. And another thing is to make an entire boot that you don't have anything. It is from scratch. Right. And I think that ZBrush helped me. The panel loops and all the other group loops, I didn't know that existed. And I find out thanks to this project. And I came with this process it was an accident. I'm being honest. I wasn't planned, so it really worked. And it was developing that process and let's say polishing more and more and more with the projects. But this one was really, I think, the inflection point for me because thanks to this project, I learned a lot of stuff that I implemented in all the next projects I did, even nowadays. Yes,
and everything, even like the Ultron arm, all this is done inside of ZBrush. None of this is taken into a box.
No, I didn't do the Ultron arm. The Ultron arm, Igor Caro did it because Igor Caro, okay. Igor, he worked for Sony Santa Monica. He's a really well-known artist. He's an amazing guy. Okay. He was doing an Ultron that we were going to use it for another statue, actually an entire statue. So we decided to put that Ultron arm there. But at that time, I didn't have too much, let's say, voice, because I was kind of new. I didn't know how this company worked. So I was saying mostly, go ahead, just go ahead. Yeah. And then I realized that I could put more of my own. I mean, this statue was, to me, was a test, and a really eye-opener, because I find out all these techniques that just came out from this project,
Yeah. There's so much that's going on in this piece before you even add any of the texturing to it. Like the helmet call out, man, I'm telling you, like, this is one that I didn't even have a choice. I was like, I have to own this piece. And it's one of the pieces that there's certain pieces that I look at every day as the same way I'll look at anatomy for artists or sculptors, or I'll look at my Andrew Carr statue or whatever. Like, I'm looking at this piece as how to do things. So thanks, you, man, for this one.
No, appreciate it. I appreciate it. Actually, I remember when a presenter at Sideshow Live was showing this statue for the first time. She took the pens and she said, "Oh, this is mixed media." And one of the guys said, "No, it's all sculpted." I said, "Is it?" And that was because I pushed so hard at textures that when the prints came out, actually you can see it in your own statue. You can put your nail like on the surface, because it scratches the surface. It's going to feel like a something, like a real fabric. And it was an accident too. I mean, I said, okay, let's push harder, and because if not, the texture's not going to come out, and it worked. Wow. A lot of things I did, honestly, was it came from accidents. I'm saying accidents in terms of okay, I tried and it came out good. Some things it came out not in the way I like it, and then I make it better in the next statue I did. But when I got my printers, my 3D printers, I can test it right now, so I know how much I have to push it or not push it, because you're going to look kind of odd. So
this was before the printers, though, right? So like you did this without being able to see. So crazy.
Way before.
Like
way before.
That's the thing, because I was talking to Anthony at Sideshow, and he was like, "Hey, whenever you think the texture is deep enough, go like deeper. So like 1.5 times what you normally would think. But yours looks like it's like 2 times as much, because That's like Bradley. That it literally looks like there's fabric that was put on the statue.
It doesn't work for every single thing. That's why sometimes you have to be very careful to not push too much, because let's say, for example, if you want to make pores in a face, and let's say you're talking about Superman face, it's not the same as a Joker face. That Joker should look like ugly, and Superman, it should look handsome. So if you push too much, you're going to have pores like acne. How do you call this? We have
like pimples or acne.
Like a pimple, acne, exactly. Yeah. And so you have to be very careful when you push it and when you don't have to push it. But it depends of the surface, the statue, whatever.
So, Mike, I have two things. I want a statue that I want to go to, and Daniel, I want to give you a little feedback, okay? And hopefully you can take this. All right?
I will. Of course.
His ass is a little too flat for my taste.
I know. Right?
I
know.
You could have just a little bit, like just.
I know, man.
It's a little. I'm just saying.
As someone in South America, that must have been difficult for you to make his ass that flat.
That is true. No, I remember when I was making that part, someone said, "No, make it flat because it's too big, I think." And I make it flatter, and then when they release, some people say, "Hey, it looks too flat." I say, "Oh shit." Yeah, I know, but it is the same.
Of his thigh, he would have a decent, you have just a little.
Exactly. Then I realized that if you have those squats, you can have a small butt, because it's a transition muscle. If you have a big butt, you have big legs. It's kind of something that it comes all together.
Right. Yeah. It's okay. It's still America's ass.
Yeah.
I'm happy you took that feedback like a champ. Some people couldn't have taken it, but I'm happy you took it. All right. The one that I really want to do. Where are you? It wasn't that. Why am I going all? I love this Batman. And when we talk about your panels and stuff like that, I love this Batman Beyond.
Thank you, man.
What's great about it, even though the hue of it is consistent, but you can still see the details of the sculpt. But I love seeing your panel process at the bottom. All right, so great statue, but I love where is it? We're gonna go through all of it, but
yeah.
And I'd like to say thank you for sharing that, man. You didn't have to do that. Man. You know what I mean?
Nice. It's a pleasure. I think more people. Yeah. Well, actually, these panels are just it's a masking with the same I mean, I put a lot of geometry on it, then I masking with the same size every single time, and then I turn that into polygroup, and that's it. And then I push it inside those red lines.
How did you keep the lines consistent though? Like the lines are consistent across. Because
you did this in pose. This is in pose, right? That you did.
Oh this. Yeah. Every single time in pose. You can't.
Wow.
At least in this type of projects, you can do it in T pose and then pose it, because it's going to break so easy. Yeah, distort. Yeah, and you're going to spend more time trying to fix it than if you do it like one part and then the other part. And I have a couple. For example, there is an option that it's called edge loop mask border. I don't know if you use it. That is going to put an edge. It's going to cut the edge when you mask it. So that is going to make it smoother. Then you select all those edges and polish by polygroups, and these lines will come really, really, really neat. I can't remember exactly the entire process, but it was something like that, with all these. Actually, you have a smooth brush, the smoothing group. I think it's smooth group brush that helps you to just smooth only the polygroups. And I have a couple techniques for. Let me show you.
And Bradley, just so you know, I did watch and rewatch and slow down the process of Daniel doing this, and then I tried to do it myself, and all those areas where I had nice clean like corners turned into like the softest like corners you've ever seen.
Like what's great about it, like it the like I get the whole asymmetrical stuff that's great, but the line consistency throughout it
Yeah.
like is really clean. Like even like it's
Always.
like you like I'm thinking like did you like I was thinking like did you mask it out and turn off pin pressure so you have the same consistent line throughout the entire like it's just consistent. The gaps in between the lines is consistent.
Yeah, the pressure you have to actually you have to put it off. You have to. Can I share a screen for a minute?
Hey, so inside of StreamYard, you'll see a area that says present.
Yeah.
Just present your screen.
Yeah. Window, ZBrush, share. There you go. Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to add some. Yeah. So to be consistent with the lines, what I do it is pressing Control. I'm going to brush, tell the pressure, RGB intensity, and I put these up. So when you make a stroke, it's not going to take any pressure from your towel. That's the first thing, right? And another thing I do, it is I press, let's say, for example, you press Ctrl W. Now I'm going to take this out and erase subdivisions. If you press Ctrl W, you're going to get this. But if you press the edge mask border, you're going to get this.
Dude.
Right?
Wait,
so,
okay, do it again. I know I can play it back. Do it again.
No, it's okay. I mean, the edge when you Ctrl W, right? It's going to. Well, let me change the materials. There you go. It's going to turn only the selection into a masking, and it's not going to. It's just going to take account the polygons, right? But the edge mask border is going to add. It's going to cut your geometry, and it's going to make it, better. And another cool thing, if you go to the brush section, smooth and smooth groups, well, you know this, it is you can use this brush to only smooth the polygroups. And if you want a sharp, let's say for example you have this, right, and then you want to make it a sharp corner. What you can do it is press Alt and Shift, and it's going to break that polygon, right? And then you smooth only this part. You make it again, and then you have a sharp corner.
Wow, dude. Okay, so.
Oh, you might as well keep going. What about the panel?
Just so people will understand. Just so people understand, you didn't sign on for this. You just thought we were just going to be talking to Daniel. You didn't think you'd be learning any gems like this.
No, it is fine. It is fine, man. I mean, it's and then I recommend to use not this one without the RGB, because when you use nudge, you're moving across the surface instead of just going out of your surface. If you want to, let's say, for example, move the entire lines, you're doing across the surface. So you're not disturbing the volumes, the shape, just a little bit, but just a little bit. Because if you move, the difference between moving is going to move. You are destroying the surface. You're causing some issues. So if you work with these techniques, it's going to make it easier to get smoother and better shapes. And then if you go, for example, if you select this and you want to go in, this is going to happen, right? But if you press edge loop and then smooth it out again, and you press it and you go now, you have a very clean mesh.
Wow.
Well,
That is...
So it's a very powerful tool. I think to me is a really powerful tools. And I've been working with this and trying to push it as much as I could, because I hate to apologize and all that technical part. I really hate it. So that's why I'm using that a lot.
Definitely. Okay, Bradley, we got all the techniques. Get him out of here. Let's go get his job. We're gonna go get his job now. We're gonna go take his job.
No,
that was amazing.
That was amazing. Thank you for that. That
Oh, man.
prompt. But also it makes more sense when you're like when you start to apply the panel loops on there, or how because you made the surface so clean with the edges the way you did that. Panel loops is more predictable. And I think, Mike, what you're experiencing is the unpredictable of what's happening with the edges. But that is kind of explained. I think that was the missing piece between that and the video.
I never got past the part where you were grouping the edge and it gave you the faceted stair step edge. And then I do remember in your shoe tutorial, you were like, okay, and then you can polish by polygroups. And I did that. But when I did it, it distorted the surface, and I never was able to get it that clean.
Yeah, but what you have to do there, it is store a morph target of
and then project it back.
Yeah, project it back, and you're going to get the forms, but the polygroups is going to be as you smoothed it before, you know. That's it is working with those things at the same time.
Dude, that's amazing. Like even getting your brush, the pressure sensitivity turned off on your brush, and then using those techniques would just shave hours and hours and hours off of trying to do that type of work. So
what I do at the same time, it is I just write down in a note the size of the shape I was using, because let's say, for example, that you close your file and then open again, and you will forget, and instead of trying close to that line. Oh, it was 5, it was 10, it was 8. We just write it down. It will be easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
No, that's fantastic, man.
Man.
Was there another one you wanted to pull up first, or
no, and also I love this piece. I'm a huge Batman fan. I wish I had money to buy things.
So I'm gonna
I love this one.
I'm gonna rat Bradley out, because that's not the Batman that he had in his cart all ready to buy and then didn't buy it. That's not the Batman that he had in his cart.
So I like that other Batman because I'm gonna show it, but I love this one. I really love.
Wait, you like this more than the Dark Knight?
I like this one more. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I like the other one because it has a light, and I want to not have the Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm. This is why it's a problem. Like the Daredevil, it was between Daredevil and Cap, and I was a lot of sleepless nights. I'm not unhappy with Cap. I always wonder, did I make the right choice? And then this one right here, I had that in the cart ready to go. I ended up going with Colossus only because I have other X-Men. So you're making life very difficult choices here.
I really like Colossus, actually. I think it's the paint app is really well done, and the presence of the statue is interesting. I find that Colossus is a choice from a lot of X-Men fans, and not just X-Men fans. I mean, it's a when you see it in person, it's different than when you see it in pictures.
It's a home deterrent. When Mike showed me himself next to a picture of that thing, I'm like, if somebody break into your house, go for the Colossus. Use the Colossus to defend yourself.
But I'm a Frank Miller fan, and I love the Dark Knight. So again, more difficult choices, because this one is and then with the light, can you get one where the light is illuminated? Flash?
This one in person is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
Could I ask a process question as we go through this?
Sure.
When I'm looking at your character, what's broken into different subtools? Like, is it like from the chest up? The chest and the arms is one subtool. The head is one subtool. Like, I'm trying to go through your mind of like how much of this is separated into different tools, because every individual tool can have a certain level of subdivision. So I'm trying to reverse engineer the density and quality of each one of these pieces.
Yeah.
Like, is each leg a subtool?
No, when I'm working,
can I piggyback before you answer? I have one
Sure.
more thing to add to that. Do you
Sure.
think about these pieces in the fact that you're going to have to cut and key them, and
Oh,
does
yeah.
that influence your subtools?
yeah, you have to think on that, because it's
Okay.
it's going to be, it needs to be produced. So you have to think of that. But I tried as much as I can, for as long as I can, to keep it in one and less subtools. Mostly I would think the body, because I'm changing the pose and tweaking every single moment. If I can make an animation from the moment I started and the moment I finished, you can see that even in the last weeks, I'm still tweaking the body. Because I say, no, this leg looks kind of weird. I want to tweak it a little bit more, and with the body. And if I had them separated, it makes me, I have to use the transpose and subtools, and it takes time. So when I'm 100% sure that that is not going to change, I do two things. I cut that out and I decimate it, because the file is not that heavy, and is easier to rotate, to work with. And I usually cut them. I'm not making the keys right now. Is other person is making the keys, but I let them. I give them the file pre-cut it. Let's say, for example, I know we are going to cut from the legs or from the waistline or the face or whatever. So I give them that with the cuts done, not with the keys. And then it makes me life easier when I have to put all the details, because I have them in separate subtools, so I can push the amount of polygons even more. But yeah, it's hard. For example, when you have Batman Beyond, which is one entire piece, and then yes, you cut it, but when you're working on it, you can't, have in multiple pieces. When you have to apply the same texture, the same details, I think it's better that you make it at all at once. For example, the legs and the arms and the chest. If you wanted to apply in different, I don't know if it happens to you, but Surface Noise Maker, for example, when you use it, it doesn't work with the same scale, because our different parts are different, whatever polygon counts or whatever. And the same scale, when you put it in Noisemaker size scale, it's not going to work with the different subtools. So I prefer to do that.
The UVs might be different scaled.
Yeah, the UVs could be whatever, I don't know. And I prefer to have them in one piece, and then, or even those scratches or the tiniest details of the clothing, the fabric damages or whatever. I prefer to have it in one thing, or even the poly paint. When I poly paint them, now you're going to see them in just black and white, but I put colors on every single side sheet, because that is a reference that I'm going to deliver in the final piece and give them to the painters to have that as a guideline, So see, if you had to paint the same tones, the same colors, the same, cavity mask or everything the same, you have to write it down, and it takes time, and it's kind of frustrating. Yeah. So I prefer to have one tool to do that.
Do you have a favorite set of alphas that you use for textures and damage? And did you collect like a giant library over time, or do you make them yourself? Like, how do you do fabrics?
Not really.
Or really?
No, I'm trying to use a different. I have couple good ones, really with very good dimensions, pixels, resolution. And but if you use those all the time, every single statue is going to have the same textures, right? So I don't like that, and I prefer to work with hand. For example, for all the damaged parts, I have a couple like alphas, but I just put the alpha and then I with dam standard or any other brush, I sculpt it. I think it looks better and it looks unique. You're not going to find that damage in any other statue,
Yeah. One thing about this Dark Knight in particular is that the fabric that you used for the gray parts or blue parts, whatever it is, it looks very unique. Like it almost looks like a skin in certain places, like some type of a leather or something. And I'm just wondering, on those things, are these alphas that you like? How do you find your alphas? Do you create them? Do you take pictures? Do you go online?
Sometimes I came from a background that I was using textures all the time in the architectural visualization, that stage like years ago, and I came with a couple good ones at that time. I can't remember from where I got it because it was years ago, but I saved a couple ones, and I sometimes modify them in Photoshop, and maybe it's the same that I use in this project on that project, but it's different because I add a couple layers on top in Photoshop.
Gotcha.
So,
so you kind of
it
engineer
helped.
your own stuff.
Yeah, most of the time I do. Yeah. I use a lot Surface Noise Maker too. That's a different couple iterations. You can play with the curves of the noise maker, and believe me or not, you can get a nice results when you work with different. The plugins you have different like a presets of patterns or whatever. You can with layers and the curves. You can create your own stuff, and then you can save it and use it in another statues, and then modify the curves, and you can have different versions of that.
Yeah.
One thing I can say for sorry.
No, you go.
One thing I'd say for those who may be like interested in like making textures and stuff, like I know that I'm not, but I do like the kit bash. If you have people think of like substance painters as something that you could do, like paint your textures and all that stuff, but you can actually load up a plane, load up some alphas, and use substance painters procedural things to actually export out a texture that you can then put in Noisemaker. So that's another cool way of using like a production product to make really cool. You can mix and max and add different ones, and then like use the sliders and generate a lot of cool stuff that way too. Create happy accidents.
I didn't know you could do that. That's dope.
Yeah, I would like to use substance painter to do that. I heard it is. I've seen plenty of videos of people who just paintings and amazing stuff, but you have to make all the baking, all the stuff, and all the low poly res, and I hate that. I am not going to do it. So
hey, but if you wanna make textures, you can just load up a plane and load in images that you like, and like make the normals and use the procedural breaking and damage things that Substance does really, really well.
That's awesome.
And you can just export that out as a map and just plug that in your Noisemaker.
I had back when
100%.
I worked at Echo working on like on clothing, I had somebody who taught me how to make repeatable patterns in Photoshop, and it was I did not hold it in my head because I hated the whole process. But if you know how to do that, you can make all the patterns you want, man. So kudos to people who know how to do that. Let's look at some more pieces, because that's a dope piece, but there's so much to see. Let's look at some more stuff. The Thor was another one that let's do Joker, because the Joker piece is really cool, man. Yeah.
It was
Just
really
this
fun
pose.
piece to do.
How did you land on this pose? Because like he's got the buzzer in his back, in his other hand, he's got like a joy buzzer.
What
That
sticks
was
out to me is this line, this cross line that just sticks out.
yeah. The idea of this pose was from Richard Long and Martin. Martin Canale, they came with this. The crossing legs was Martin's idea, and the pose of having this shaking hand, and the other one in the back was Richard's idea. And I only add a couple accentuations in the pose and the expression, but it was extremely fun to make this one. The face, I had a lot of good times making the face. Yeah, man. The hair, I spent like a 10 days sculpting the hair, because I wanted to make it like if it were kind of crazy. It's like it's little snakes, a resemblance of little snakes crawling up from the head, and a kind of dirt hair, and it's hard to make that in the sculpture, because it's not like a rendering, a plugin like for these platforms that you can make the hairs like with sliders and you say, oh, let's make it curl, and then you have a slider that curl here. No, here it is by hand, and you have to do it every single stroke by hand. Even if we have these meshes, brushes, but I always feel like it feels too 3D, let's say, and I love to spend time on that. I actually hate make hair because I know that it's going to take me a lot of time, but I love the results. When they finish, I say, oh, it's finished. I love it. I love how it looks, but I hate the process of making hair. It's too much time.
That wonderful tool that you're talking about with sliders is called XGen, and it saves lives.
I know. It's awesome, and it's awesome.
Saves lives.
So when you're doing hair, are you just subdividing the crap out of it, or are you using something like a Sculptor's Pro and maybe Dynamesh? No. Actually, I'm using the Sculptor Pro and Dynamesh. Yeah, first I make a kind of mock-up, a sketch of the hair, and then I started to separate the hairs by chunks, like for example, from the bottom to the top. And this one was difficult because these kind of horns that he has. Is different from another more classic hairstyle, but I always have different parts that I can put one top on the other to hide the seams, so you don't have to sculpt, because it's really hard to find let's say for example, when you start a hair, when you finish it, at what point you finish it. So when you can put one top into another, it's easier to hide those seams lines. So and it actually is easier when you have to produce it, because sometimes this chunk it needs to be casted apart from the rest, and if you have in a different polygroup, you just select it and make the key is easier.
And I'm not sure you can answer this, but where's the separation in this hair? Like, I'm trying to see, is this all one, or is there separation here?
Oh, it's multi. Are you talking about the hairline or inside of the hair?
No, like his hair. Are these separate
multiple?
pieces?
Is it possible to tell you, because multiple? Let's say, for example, I don't know, 20 parts or something like that. Probably more. So you have, you have the top part. I usually use these like the bottom part, the middle section, the upper one, the how do you call this section here?
The sideburns.
The sideburns, and the hair, the hairline, and the top. I those are the major ones, and then I split it in half in different parts depending of the hair type. Yeah, it's a very time-consuming process, but I like the results. I think when it prints, looks good, and it's easier to don't have any gaps and breakages when it comes out the piece, And
it looks like real hair, man. Did you get some mousse and kind of do this on yourself first before you did you use yourself as a model on this one?
No, not for this one. I think I get plenty of references on the internet, but it's interesting to do my own hair.
These shoes, and the cloth. The cloth looks like it's something out of Marvel's Designer for real. Like the cloth.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the cloths I use. What I do with Marvelous, it is I use Marvelous to have the references of how the fabric will react in different parts, because you'll never find exactly the reference you need for exactly the type of fabric you need to do. So what I do is I just put to a cylinder, and then I blend it. I put there like a part of a trouser or whatever, and then I look how it looks. And I take that as a reference to sculpt.
Oh, so
it's really helpful.
Use a little Marvelous. That's nice for reference.
Yes, I use it. I love. Yeah. Yeah.
I love even the old kind of like thick painted metal texture on the steam pipes there. Like it looks believable. It's very cool.
Yeah, that part. It was the idea was like
go up a little, Bradley,
with a lot of
right there.
Damage it with some weathering and all that stuff, and then the painters, they did an amazing job painting it and add a lot of life on it.
This is how you know that the sculpt is an awesome sculpt. I don't even like Joker, and I would love to have this piece. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a DC guy, but you have made me question that over and over again with your pieces.
Well, I remember what you're saying. It is something that happened. I told this many times, and I will say it quickly. But my first time in the U.S., it was at the con in San Diego, and one guy just approached me, grabbed me from my arm, and said, "Are you Daniel Bel?" I said, "Yeah." "And you make this piece?" Thor. It was pointed to Thor. I said, "Yeah, I did it." "Well, listen to me. I hate Thor. I hate Marvel. I don't collect anything from them, but I will buy this stuff because I don't know what it is that I like it." And I thank you for that. And so it was a big dude. And I said, "Oh, thank you." And I realized that sometimes it doesn't matter if you have that other pieces in your collection about the same realm, let's say, for example, X-Men or Marvel or whatever. If the piece is cool and it invokes you something, it transmits something to you, and it's cool, it will work. People will like it, And for example, the other day, I went to the cinema and I watched Blue Beetle, and I know who is Blue Beetle, but I haven't read any comics. I know he's a classic character, whatever. And the people didn't like it too much. But I had too much fun watching Blue Beetle because they spoke a part of in Mexican, so in Spanish, and part of it in English. And it was really fun movie. They have fun actors, and I had a really good time. I was with zero expectations, and I had a great time. And my point is, if you make the people have a good time with something, it's going to work. It doesn't matter if it's from a huge franchise or I don't know, a lot of fancy elements or whatever. It just needs to be cool, which is hard to make something cool, of course. But yeah,
I feel like Bradley's going to feel that way about Barbie when he finally sees it. So
I can't wait.
He's holding up.
I've been looking forward to it. Some of my favorites.
Nice. All right, man. So listen, we have had so many examples of Daniel's work here that is jaw-dropping. I think that we got to respect his time because he's doing a whole bunch here, so we should probably do a closeout now. Bradley, you think?
All right. Yeah, man. Close this out.
All right, here we go. Daniel Bel, the man, the myth, the master, has been in the house. He's graced us with his presence, and as always, just a consummate nice guy. In addition to being one of the most amazing sculptors that I've ever met and had the pleasure to meet. Thank you so much for being on the Stylus League with us and sharing some of your tips and tricks and your background and all that good stuff, man. You're a king among men, man. Like I say that, like I don't gush over a lot of guys. I'm letting you know. And thank you for not making that face that Questlove made when I met him, because when I met Quest, he was like, ugh, this guy.
We don't know what Daniel's thinking when you say that. We didn't ask him his thoughts.
He hides it. He hides it, man. He hides it. He doesn't make me feel like that Robert De Niro character in The Fan. So that's good. But yeah, thanks for coming on with us, man. We love having you, and hopefully sometime next year, maybe come on the show. Come on the show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks both, and I had a great time, and I'm sure we're going to see you next year. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you,
nice.
Daniel.
Thanks,
Appreciate it, man. Peace.
All right.
My pleasure.
Cool.
Bye bye.